So, have you ever tried to get a quote for professional aquarium maintenance only to hang up the phone feeling more confused than when you started? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and demystify exactly what goes into that final price tag, right here in Illinois. Okay, let's get into it. This is the number one question, right? One company gives you one price, another gives you something totally different for what looks like the exact same job. It can honestly feel like you're comparing apples to, I don't know, spaceships. But believe it or not, there's actually a method to the madness. The simple truth is, a healthy aquarium is a really complex little ecosystem, and taking care of it isn't just a simple chore. So that price you see, it's a reflection of all that complexity. But don't worry, we're going to break it all down into three simple, easy to understand parts that every single quote is built on. Here they are, the big three: the size of your tank, how often you want it serviced, and yep, where you live. Once you get a handle on how each of these things affects the cost, you'll be able to look at any quote and know exactly what you're dealing with. All right, let's start with the heavyweight champ, the single biggest factor, and that's the sheer size of your aquarium. When it comes to maintenance, let me tell you, size really, really matters, and it's almost always the biggest piece of your final bill. And you can see it right here. The cost doesn't just go up a little bit, it scales, and sometimes it scales dramatically. See, a bigger tank isn't just more water. It means more time, more cleaning supplies, and honestly, way more complex work to keep everything perfectly balanced. And this slide right here perfectly lays out the why. A small tank at home, that can often be serviced pretty quickly with fairly simple gear. But a large tank, especially one in a business or a doctor's office, well, that's a whole different ballgame. We're talking more hours of labor, much more sophisticated filters, and way stricter standards to keep those fish healthy. Okay, on to our second factor, service frequency. Now, think about this. Are you looking for a one-time, help me, my tank is a mess kind of cleanup? Or are you after a regular, ongoing maintenance plan? Because the answer to that question is going to change the per-visit price in a big way. So here's the deal. A one-off visit is almost always more expensive because the technician is playing catch-up. They're tackling weeks, maybe months of buildup all at once. But with a recurring plan, say weekly or monthly, they're doing preventative care. They're staying ahead of problems like algae taking over, which makes each visit way more efficient. And, you guessed it, cheaper for you. This quote right here, it just nails it. If your tank is in rough shape and you need an emergency rescue, that service is going to take a lot more work, and the price will absolutely reflect that. So the big takeaway here? Being proactive isn't just better for your fish, it's a whole lot better for your wallet too. And finally, let's talk about our third key factor, and this is one you might not even think about: your physical location. It might seem a little strange, but where you actually live in Illinois can have a direct impact on the quotes you get. And here's why. Think about it. Companies have to factor in the cost of just getting a trained technician to your front door. That includes their travel time, maybe a mileage fee, and even how many skilled techs are available in your particular area. All those little local costs, well, they add up. Okay, so you get the three main factors now. But this next part, this is where the rubber meets the road for you, the consumer. We need to talk about what's actually included in that base price and what's going to pop up on the bill as an extra charge. Typically, any standard service plan is going to cover the basics. Things like testing your water, making sure the filter is doing its job, wiping down the easy-to-reach spots, and keeping everyday algae in check. Think of it like the routine health checkup for your aquarium. But here's where you really got to pay attention. Anything that goes beyond that routine checkup will often cost extra. We're talking about replacing things like filter pads, tackling a serious sediment problem, or doing a full, deep clean of your whole filtration system. You always want to ask which tasks fall into this category. So, with all this information, how do you actually use it to your advantage? Well, we've put together a super simple checklist to help you compare quotes like an absolute pro. Seriously, it's this simple. 1, be super specific about your tank's size and what kind of setup you have. 2, tell them exactly how often you want service. And 3, this one is the real game changer. Ask for a written list, a scope of work, detailing the exact tasks included in their price. This forces every company to bid on the exact same job. Because at the end of the day, this is the most important thing to remember. The only way to find the best value is to make sure you are making a true apples-to-apples comparison. When the tank size, the visit frequency, and the list of chores are identical on every quote, the right choice becomes crystal clear. And that brings us right back to the final and most important question, the one for you to think about. Now that you know how the pricing really works, you can finally decide on the right balance of professional care that keeps your aquarium beautiful and thriving without breaking the bank. Thanks for tuning in.